enduring hardships, the tears of pain I shed today will be the tears of joy I shed tomorrow. I'm Coach mjdtiger, certified life coach and mentor, and we are on this journey together to find peace, passion, and purpose by enduring hardships and not getting knocked down and staying there, but to rise and to be more than we were the moment before and to grow in the next moment. And we can do that by focusing on our self-love, self-respect, self-control, and to bravely and boldly embrace who we are unconditionally. And if no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall. Learn, laugh, and level up. How are you feeling? How are you feeling in your mind? How are you feeling in your body? How are you feeling in your heart? How are you feeling in your soul? Taking a moment each day to think in silence and to address each of these areas is a daily healthy practice that will lead you to your passion and your purpose and to balance you out every single day. When we ask ourselves through mind, body, heart, and soul how we are feeling, we get the answers we need and we know we need to focus on. How are you feeling? Trust yourself. Trust that you have it within you to get through the next moment. Trust that whatever is beyond your control, whatever is beyond the reach and the scale of where your mind, your body, your heart, and your soul can endure in this moment, trust that what's beyond you doesn't matter. What's behind you doesn't matter. What matters is this moment. Trust that you are strong enough to endure the next moment, the next obstacle, the next test, the next mountain, the next volcano. Trust yourself that you are making the right decisions and that you will stand tall and bravely and boldly endure the consequences of those decisions. Trust yourself that you are more than what your limited beliefs are telling you. Trust yourself that you are capable of being in a loving, healthy, non-toxic relationship. Trust yourself that you are everything you know you were born to be. Trust yourself that you will go further than you ever imagined through discipline, self-love, and self-control. You are here now. Trust yourself. Wheat Horizons, Episode 10, Bonds, Allies, and Enemies. Our first bonding experience is with our mother when we're in the womb. And that carries on throughout life in some way, shape, or form. We are inherently wanting that connection, that bond. Even if we're disconnected from it, there's still an emotional attachment to it. We see people who prefer to be in solitude and prefer to be alone 24/7 for the majority of their lives. Yes, they are disconnected from bonding, but that disconnection also is only recognized because we identify most people with wanting to connect. So those people are the outliers. They're the ones that we look at and say, maybe things in their life didn't turn out the way that they should. And then you go and talk to them and you find out, no, my life was great. I choose to be alone. And I can see that. I can see both sides. And I think we all do that. It's just how long do we do each of those versions, where somebody just needs to go into their man cave or someone needs to just go for a walk to get some silence. Some people need to go out in the wilderness for years just to be alone and then come back to the city for a few years and then go back to the wilderness. That's the human condition. We're all different. We all have our preferences. We all have our strengths and weaknesses when it comes to what we expect out of a bond with someone. But ultimately, that bond is a choice. You can choose to be with someone or choose not to be, or with a group of people. It ultimately comes down to choice. The feelings aside that we attach to these bonds, you still have a choice. You could love someone and still say, I don't want to be around you. And we typically do that first and foremost with family members. We all have family members where they're not as close to us as we would like them to be. And, you look at people in relationships. We're in relationships with people that we wish we had a deeper emotional bond with, but we just can't get there. It happens. With the bond, though, we all have a part to play. So whatever we're asking from a bond with someone, we should be giving in return. That is what strengthens a bond. Where somebody is weak, someone else is strong, and vice versa. That's how it works. You're not supposed to be always. Now, every relationship is different. Again, the dynamics could be a relationship between two people or, a group of people if you're in a work environment or you're in a church environment or something like that, where there's a group of people that have to work together, pull minds together, emotionally are attached to each other. It's a healthy thing. You do have codependency when it comes to these things as well. Codependency, when we dive into that, when you start really looking at what bonds are, codependency does creep up in that. But, honestly, some people would just say, listen, the codependency is just a side effect of me having a good bond with this person, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's only a negative with codependency when it's affecting people and the people around the people who are in that relationship in a negative way. If you're codependent with someone and somehow it's possible to be healthy and positive in it, if you can find that and make that work, then why not do it? Then we have the allies, the people that we are around, not out of always necessity, but out of obligation. And that definitely can be coworkers and friends and family, who pick it, where they're alongside us, but we just don't have the greatest relationship with them. And there's nothing wrong with that as well. We can't always cultivate and maintain super positive relationships with every single person in our life. There's dynamics, there's tiers to it. Some people are just, you're more connected with them than others. There are some people that the connection is unexplainable. No matter what you do, it won't sever. You could walk away for years, and when you meet them again, it's like no time has passed. It's an unexplainable emotional connection. And then you have the people who, for whatever reason, they're just good at having your back, or they're good at supporting you, or they're good with working with you with things, or, fixing things, whatever it is. These are our allies. And we don't necessarily have to have the deepest bond with them, because we could be getting the same thing from these allies with the bond we have with the people like our best friends and our family members and our churchgoers, our spouses, brothers and sisters, you name it. We can get that ally feeling in there. But with that, you do have people that we have, it's like orbiters, that there are people who are in our circle, but just on the outer rim of it. And these people fill in the gaps of making our lives whole. And when we look at some of these people who I call allies, these people are very unassuming. These are people that if you didn't focus and pay attention on it, you wouldn't realize how big of an impact they actually have in your life. And it takes time to dive into that. It takes mental clarity to dive into that and say, what is my relationship ultimately with this person? How did it get this way? And is it positive? Should I keep it? Should I jettison this relationship, this ally? This ally is no longer serving me. This ally is only feeding me negativity. What should I do? But, a healthy person will have a conversation with any of these people. And then we move into enemies. And I put enemies in quotes because that word enemy to me just screams negativity, obviously. But I put quotes in it because sometimes, in not all cases, of course, everybody you meet is not going to be your best friend. You are going to have people that you're in opposition with. You butt heads. It just happens. I put quotes around enemies in the title, and I'm doing it now because often because of who we are and what we expect out of ourselves and what we expect out of others, and we get in this trap, in this loop of creating false realities out of other people's lives. We can forget that the people around us, they're living their lives the best they can, or the worst they can, depending on who you're talking to. But either way, it's their choice. But they have freedom to do whatever they want, and we, as individuals, will project and assume certain things about people. And what happens is these people kind of become an enemy to you. But when you think about the word enemy, if we can use it in a way where we're talking about if you're going to war and we have to go fight the enemy, well, that's completely different than saying, my enemy is someone at work. That term can be stretched and exaggerated so much, which is why I always put quote unquote enemies, because a lot of times the people who we feel like are enemies, if we just had a civil conversation with them, we would find out you might have more in common with that person than you think. And it may be a reason why you're clashing. Or you may find out this person is the polar opposite, and then that's why you're clashing. But how do you know if you don't have a conversation? We can't go up to people we bond with, our allies, or our enemies, and just assume their side and their contribution to what we are deeming to be in these groups. So just because we're bonding with someone doesn't mean they're necessarily bonding with us. Just because we consider one person an ally doesn't mean that person considers us an ally. Just because we are at war verbally or emotionally with someone doesn't mean that person is being reciprocal and doing it back to you. We can't ricochet our emotions and our thoughts and our spirit all around the room and just hope it lands on the right person. All of these things, just like everything on this planet, it's all grown. It's all grown. It's grown from the ground up. Who we bond with is our responsibility to bond with someone that compliments us. And I believe in balance. I don't necessarily want people around me who are exactly like me 24/7. I don't want to be equally paired up with people who are exactly like me. Why? Because I can't learn anything. Because it's boring. It's nothing that I don't already know. It's like I'm looking in a mirror, except the mirror, I look completely different in it. But it's me. I'm doing the exact same thing. I just look different. I want people around me, this is just me talking, I want people around me that are fundamentally at their core aligned. But everything outside of that, please be yourself, do your thing, teach me. I want to learn. I love interacting with people and having bonds. And this is going back to bonds. I love having bonds with people who have something different to bring to the table and can have me thinking about things that I had never thought before. And it doesn't have to be stuff that I agree with. It can be stuff that I disagree with. That's the fun of having a bond with certain people, is that the benefits of them are priceless, because they can bring things to the table we never would have dreamed of, never would have thought of. And oftentimes, again, you can put that other term in there, allies. These bonds create powerful alliances because it's contagious. And if you have one and then you add another, you got family members and you got people around you who support you. And now me, I don't need a ton of people to do that for me. I just need a little handful. But there's some people that need a village, an entire village of people to help them get through one day. And again, there's nothing wrong with that if that person is aware and seeking out what they want from their lives. And as long as they're not complaining about their lives, everybody's good. It's the people who complain about their lives and not do anything about it, or going in the completely wrong direction, or not giving things enough thought, that tend to twist and turn their lives around into salty pretzels. And you better believe that these people are aware of that, because it's a reoccurring thing. What you do always will equal discipline if you do it enough. You can only make so many bad decisions before it's, you're not having bad luck. You're just making bad decisions. That's when we're making bad decisions, the enemies part starts to come in, because when we start making bad decisions, we start making enemies with people that we never would have dreamed of. You start having altercations and drama starts to fill up in your life. And that's because you're at odds with every person that you meet. You can't even go and do the most simplest task without having some kind of an incident with someone. We all know people like this, where no matter where they go, there's an issue, there's something not right. I need to complain about this. Couldn't this have been better? And when you think about it, it's just drama. It's just noise. It means nothing. I feel deeply when it comes to bonds, allies, and enemies. Obviously, the common denominator will be us. It's obvious that the common denominator will always be us when we enter in any of these types of situations, or we're having these kinds of relationships with people. If you have a bond, you hold on to that. It's rare. It's extremely rare for some people to have bonds that last more than a few years. If you have a bond with someone, even if you met them for the first time and you trust yourself, and it's okay. Be grateful for that person being in your life. I know I do. When someone's special, when someone I feel is one of a kind, I'm willing to do almost anything to make sure that I don't lose that bond. But we can't control people. If that person wants to sever that bond and move on and they drift off, we've been through this going all the way back when we were kids. You have that friend that during the summer you can't be separated. You're doing everything together, and once school starts, they go to practice, you're in this club, and you just kind of drift apart, and you have new friends. We do this throughout the course of our lifetime. But as we get older, it becomes more important because the clock's ticking at this point. Those opportunities to have true bonds start to diminish quite a bit. And then this is why we see so many people alone at the end of their lives. You're not guaranteed to have these bonds and these allies, but you're always guaranteed to have an enemy. They're the ones that are so consistent in our lives. And I say enemy again with quotes, because that's a connotation I say that we give to these people to justify us playing a little bit of victim. So I tend not to look at anyone like an enemy. I just look at them as a person that has an opposing view, and as long as they're not trying to harm me physically or verbally abuse, I pay them no mind. I could care less. It's like looking straight through them. They might as well be the invisible woman or the invisible man. It doesn't matter. But it's a choice. We have to choose who we want to spend our time with, and did we do our research enough on these people so we can really grow this thing with confidence. When we can grow a bond naturally without forcing anything, the communication's great, you trust each other, that's when everything is good. It's when we get into these stages of, I want more, I'm not satisfied, this bond could be better, I can replace this person with this person and having an even greater bond. We can't just keep trying to look up and finding new bonds. People aren't material objects. People are people. They have purpose, they have feelings, they have emotions. And if we shit all over that, we're being so disrespectful. And I am very aware of that, which is why, again, finding someone that you can consider to be in a bond with, and they're your ally, and they're certainly not your enemy, it's beautiful, and you hold on to that. You hold on to that like it's a treasure, because in a lot of ways it is. It's not guaranteed to you. It's not a privilege, or excuse me, it's not a right. It's a privilege to have a bond with someone or some people. You know, there's people we work with. Again, you know, if you're in a church, all of these things, these people, places, and things, they start with us because we're the ones who have to put the labels on all these things. We're the ones who have to actually play the role in these things. We can't say we're bonded with someone if we're not putting in the effort into that bond. We can't have allies if we're not putting any effort into being their ally. And when it comes to the enemies thing, our biggest enemy is the person we face in the mirror every day. Which is why I put it in quotes. We are our own enemy. I talked about this before in podcasts, where you're your own internal hero to your internal villain. I'll put a link in the description below to that podcast that I did if you want to know what I mean by that. But you are your own hero and you're your own enemy. And if we can't face ourselves, we are certainly not going to be able to face all the people out there who we would consider quote unquote enemies. Not everyone is your enemy, even your enemies. They're only your enemy if you declare from the mountaintop screaming, this person, this place, and this thing, these group of people, they're my enemy. You could turn that around at any moment. All you have to do is get off of your ego trip, come back down to earth, and say, wow, I was a little bit on a ride there. I couldn't see the forest for the trees. This person is great. This place is great. This thing is great. I should be appreciative. I should be satisfied. I'm not perfect. I'll keep working on it, but I need to work on being satisfied. The grass is not always greener when we sever bonds with people. When we get rid of things that serve us. When we're trying to do things in life that is more aligned with our calling and our purpose. You can't answer the call of purpose in life if your whole existence is based on manipulation of other people, or trying to take the easy way out, not being able to face up to the challenges of the day, procrastinating, making excuses, judging people, controlling people. Those are all very drama-filled toxic traits, and they create a vicious, deadly cycle in the mind of the individuals who are stuck in those loops of that type of mindset. It's unhealthy. But with clarity, we can find that when we look to our left and our right and we see the bonds that we have with people who are really there for us, who really unconditionally love us, and would in a lot of cases be willing to die for us if the time came, and they're doing that because they know you would do the same for them, and that's a true bond. The people who will support you even when you are failing and you have nothing, and they stand behind you and they prop you up and they say into your ear, I got you, because I know you to get me if I was in your position. I'm not going to judge you. We're moving forward together. Let's go. Roger that. Check. That's an ally. That's a bond. And then we get in front of the people who are saying, whoa, 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 whoa. Can't go any further. This is it. We can look at them as an enemy, or we can look at them as an obstacle. It doesn't matter if an obstacle is a thing or a place or a person. We can say, I can see right around you. I'm going around you, period. And if I can't do it on the ground, damn it, I'll rise and jump right the hell over you. But I'm getting past you. You're not my enemy, even though you're coming at me as an enemy. I'm not going to treat you as one. I'm going to treat you just like I treat the ones that I would call allies and bonds. And if I do this, that automatically makes me a better person, makes me much more of a patient person, much more empathetic. We don't have to be in an altercation with every person that opposes us. Not every person is going to agree with us. Not every person is going to support us. And we're definitely not going to be in a deep bond with every person that we meet. People are not robots. We can't just program them to be the perfect ally or deprogram them to have the perfect bond with these people. These are people who make choices based on emotions just like you do. When we figure that out, we can figure out the rest. And the rest usually is on us. What do we want? Do we want this partnership with this person? What do they bring to the table? What am I doing for them? If I make a mistake, is this person just going to be like, I can't be around you anymore. You made a mistake. And you're thinking, well, I would have given you a little longer rope than that. A person is not someone you would say you have a bond with, or they're your ally. But that is some person we can fall in the trap of saying, if they're not those two, then they must be my enemy. And I challenge you not to look at it that way. Look at it that way. I challenge you to look at it like it is. In reality, you're talking to a human being, and human beings are flawed. Newsflash: water is wet. Human beings make mistakes. There's a reason why we use words like forgiveness, because we all need it. But who we have around us is very important. What their purpose is in our lives, if they figure that out for us, we need and we are obligated to figure that out for them. It's only fair. If we're constantly looking to the horizon and looking for greener pastures all the time instead of looking right at where you are and what you have around you to appreciate and what you can build upon, of course you're going to have enemies, quote unquote. Because no one is going to want to be around someone who, once they get something, they need the next best thing, the next best person, the next best place. And everything around them is treated as objects. We want strong, healthy bonds with people who have their vision, they're going forward, and what we have left from them is one of the greatest gifts anybody can give anyone. We have their time. We have their time in this world. They're with us. And so many of us jettison the wrong people, the wrong places, the wrong things. Bonds are important. Support from our allies are important. To not look at every person who opposes us as an enemy is important. It's all wrapped up in purpose. It's all wrapped up in self-control, self-respect, self-love for ourselves. But if we can't show up for them, how do we even ask them to show up for us? And if no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall. Learn, laugh, and level up.